Hey everybody, this is Matthew with Forging Your Legend, where we help people turn their toughest battles into their greatest legends. So today I want to talk to you about this belief that a lot of people have unconsciously that they are always seeing the world fairly accurately. And if you ask these people, some of them will say, well, no, I don't know everything, but they act often like they are seeing things correctly. And I'm not concerned with doing this, Eastern mystic rabbit hole, question everything in reality thing. That's its own thing, and I'm not really interested in that here. I'm just more interested in talking about how can we apply this when you're dealing with a major challenge and you think you're seeing things correctly and that's holding you back. So it's important to understand with this that when you've been through a major trauma, illness, breakup, so honestly, if you've been through a human life most of the time, you're probably going to have some trauma patterns, some overactivation in the survival parts of your brain. So your limbic brain, for simple terms. And that part of your brain is going to be overactive trying to look for threats because it's trying to keep you safe. And it's going to see threats where there probably aren't any threats. Now, conversely, your prefrontal cortex, where you have more of your executive function, your planning, your self-control, emotional regulation, etc., that's probably not going to be quite as strong or quite as powerful in your brain because when you turn on one, you kind of inhibit the other. And so when people tell me, this is what it is, this is the problem, I'm seeing this correctly, and I don't see any way out. Well, usually they're seeing it from a distorted lens because their brain is wired for fear and trying to keep them alive rather than wired for thinking things through logically. And it's important to understand that our tendency to assume our perception of reality is correct, it has a purpose because we need to have a functional model of reality in order to actually interact with the world. If every time you wanted to fold your clothes after washing them, you had to ask yourself, do I really know how to do this? Is this a reality or am I seeing this wrong? That's not useful. You need to have a functional model of reality so that your brain can make these processes quicker so you can focus on the things you need to focus on. And we need to assume that we're seeing the world semi-accurately so that we can survive in it and thrive in it. But we also need to know when to upgrade that model, when to let go of what we see and recognize it's just a model at the end of the day. So often people get hijacked by that part of their brain that's trying to keep them safe, and they unconsciously are acting like it's going to keep them safe if they don't let in any new information into that model. And so they end up thinking, I'm screwed. I'm seeing the whole picture and I'm screwed. And the fact is, you're probably not seeing the whole picture. Because even if you're not thinking completely out of fear and you think you're thinking really logically about it, you don't know everything. There's so much more to reality and to the possibilities in it than we can see. Often, if you have a certain belief system and then you have a time where you have a conversation or an experience that kind of updates or up levels that, beforehand you were pretty confident in your beliefs, and then afterward you realized, man, that was outdated. It wasn't actually the full reflection of reality. But you don't know that prior to that moment. This is particularly a problem with people who have higher intelligence, higher IQ, I should say, on average, and people who don't believe in God. And those are two separate categories. You can have idiots who don't believe in God and brilliant religious people and vice versa. But typically people who are used to being able to rely on their intellect tend to think they have things figured out. They'll look at their problem and say, this is the reality, these are the facts, I'm screwed, or this can't get better until or unless or period. If you have an high IQ, you're probably one of those people who can rely on it for most things, but when it comes to something as emotional and as difficult and as complicated as a chronic illness or a relationship issue, or it's just something that feels like it's been stuck for years, you're not going to be able to see that clearly. So what do you do with this? My best advice is, number one, allow for some doubt. Just, if you're not ready to believe that the best possible outcome is possible, then just inject a little bit of doubt. Assume that you don't know the full picture. Doubt the thoughts that you have, doubt the feelings that you have. If they're not useful, if they're not helping you move forward, then doubt them. Second thing, it can be really useful to get some support. And, that's what I do, but it doesn't have to be me. It can be, a friend, family, but just be careful because sometimes their own biases and distortions can get in the way. So you got to be careful who you pick for that. But sometimes having somebody who can support you can just reflect back to you where you might be distorting things, where you might be missing something. And the third thing is just start focusing on the things you actually can do. I'm not suggesting that the problem you're facing is just as simple as, well, change it. Sometimes it is, but more often, the kind of people I work with, it's more of a process over time, a practice we got to implement, and a lot of different pieces that we have to work on. But if you can focus on whatever you can do, however small that is, no matter how small the steps seem to be, you're going to be focusing on an action, which takes you out of that place of helplessness and gets you focused on, all right, at least I can do something. And then when you're moving, when you're doing, whether you call that God, the universe, other people, that extra outside help can come to you. That grace can come in and lift you up and provide unexpected pathways and possibilities that you didn't see before. So I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, if you liked it, please hit like, hit follow, hit share. And you can find more about what I do at forgingyourlegend.com. Thanks so much and make it an amazing day.